Hi, this is Michele Theberge, and I really love learning how other artists made their work, so I decided to create this video to show you how I'm creating my work. So this particular piece I'm working on is composed of all these different shapes, and it's like a patchwork of paint on foil. And I'm just using heavy-duty kitchen foil. So I'm going to show you how I prepare the foil to accept the acrylic paint so that it will adhere properly. And I've got a piece of foil here. Now, I was going to put gloves on, not that you have to, but my hands get enough abuse as it is from all the hand washing and materials I use. So before I do the steel wool, I'm just going to put this on so I don't rip up my hands from steel wool. So I use the steel wool. This is a 000 steel wool that I just got at the hardware store, my local hardware store. And I'm just going to abrade the metal. So when you want to paint on metal, you need to abrade it in some way to create a proper adhesion. So I'm using acrylic paint, and acrylic paint doesn't stick to things that are glossy or slick or shiny. So I'm going to abrade it to create some tooth. You can also acid etch metal if you're interested in working on sheet metal like brass or sheets of aluminum. But this is just my simple, easy, straightforward technique. And I'm just rubbing it lightly. And I'm going to flip it over and do the other side because I am collaging all these pieces together. So I'm using acrylic mediums to collage the layers, so there has to be an abraded surface on the back as well. So I'll just do the back. Now I have all kinds of pieces I've created so far. Some I purposely crumpled and then laid flat again because I wanted the texture that happened when I crumpled the foil. Some are a bit more sleek here, still nice and flat, and you can see the front and the back, there's not a lot of wrinkles on that. And what I do to prepare them, let me move this out of the way. I have a mixture that I've created of some string gel and some pouring medium, and I picked those two because I knew they were both super sticky mediums. For some reason, the chemistry of them is they adhere really well. So I wanted to make extra sure it was going to adhere to this metal, which it normally wouldn't adhere to. And I mixed them together. Oh, God. It's hard to open jars of acrylic once they've dried a little bit on the lid. I always wipe these with little sponges, damp sponges, to trying to get them not to stick, but even just that little bit. There we go, wrap it on the table. Okay, so what I'm going to do is grab a nice smooth brush, and I have a few. I always kind of judge the softness of a brush by rubbing it against my skin. And the reason I want a soft brush is because I don't want a lot of brush strokes on most of them. There are a few, like this one, where I wanted the apparent brush strokes, but the rest of them I wanted the acrylic medium to level and be smooth, like a glaze. So I'm in effect laminating these sheets of metal, and I'm creating these really, you can see there's a lot of medium on here, and they're kind of sturdy and it's flexible. Acrylic paint is super flexible, so it's great for a project like this. So I'm going to take my brush. I think I'll just use this guy today. And I already have pre-mixed this in here and there. I actually put a little drop of color in. Just going to brush it right on here. So I'm doing a smooth one. In fact, I use so much of this, I'm just going to pour it on here because it's easier. I just get a big old blob, and this is the end of a jar here. Just pour it on and brush it out. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but it's a little whitish. And the interesting thing, if you're not familiar with acrylic gels and mediums, is that they dry clear, but because of the water content in them, when they're wet The water reflects a little differently off of, the light reflects differently off of the water molecules than off of the acrylic molecules, so you get this sort of cloudy effect. But when they dry, they will go clear like these. And so this is actually the same color. I did drip a little color, but there's a very pale tint of blue, and that's exactly what I'm using here. So never fear, that will clarify as it dries.